I'm Teekosey, and this is a With Just 15 Defeats special, where we're posing the question, is Tyson Fury finished, and what led to his downfall? Welcome to With Just 15 Defeats, the boxing show for fans all around the world. I'm Teekosey, and in today's show we're going to be discussing whether Tyson Fury is finished. So before we move on to this debate, I just want to invite you to check out my YouTube channel, subscribe. Check out some of my videos. In particular, I've got a video that I've uploaded recently where I discuss the weight divisions in the current boxing world and whether it's difficult to jump up the weight classes. Really interesting, really in-depth show. Hope you like it. If you get an opportunity, please check out that video. And let me know what you think. I'm really interested to know what people think of the content. If you've got any comments about any of my videos, just tap on that keyboard and I'll be right back at you. So, is Tyson Fury finished? Okay, I decided to make this video and create this debate after hearing that Tyson Fury has relinquished his world title belts. So I'm really going to be discussing three key things today. I'm going to be discussing Tyson Fury's achievement, right? Because this is something that a lot of people do not give him credit for, or they give it to him in an underhanded way. I'm going to be talking about what's happened since. Now, this is the meat of this debate. A lot has happened in the last 12 months, and that's effectively what this show's all about. It's about the last 12 months in the life of Tyson Fury. And then we're going to wrap it up by discussing what's going to happen next. So, first of all, Tyson Fury, he's a guy that splits opinion. He always has. I followed his career with interest from as early as I was aware of him. And I can remember seeing a fight against John McDermott. I think this is for the English title, one of those domestic type belts. Many people thought that he actually lost that fight. I actually made the bold prediction that he would become a world champion after that. So I can't quite remember how many years we're going back. It's going to be over 6, I would have thought. And I said that he was going to become the world champion after watching that fight. Now, it wasn't a massively impressive fight. He wasn't in great shape. But I just had this feeling. I could see that there was elements of his game that were good, that if he worked hard. And I think over the years, I always felt that he had the ability. He just wasn't in good enough shape. I can remember a fight where he came to the weigh-in. He was wearing a Manchester United football shirt for the weigh-in, and he was, I think it's probably as heaviest he's ever been. But anyway, since that fight, I've seen, read, watched, listened to podcasts, and many people have criticised him. Right? They've enjoyed it. Okay, very few people have really given him credit, and the balance between credit and praise is completely unbalanced. Okay, in the early days, he was seen as a joke by fans, and many of the journalists, the pundits, they all said he didn't have the fitness, the drive, or the skill. They criticised his actual ability. That was something that I was never in agreement. But anyway, let's move on to Fury's achievement. Right? I think it's important to put this into context to discuss what Fury actually achieved. Okay? He beat Wladimir Klitschko. Right? We're talking about one of the great heavyweights of all time. He might not be seen as the best, the greatest. He's definitely not the most fashionable heavyweight of all time, but he's definitely one of the guys that contend the table of the great heavyweights without a shadow of a doubt. You just have to look at the stats. When Klitschko was defeated, he was the world champion for almost 10 years. Almost 10 years. That's incredible by anyone's definition. Okay. I'm pretty sure that when he won the world title, Fury wasn't even a professional fighter yet. Okay. So Klitschko's reign is the second longest of all time. And when you take into consideration the fact that he won the title before and then lost it, his overall reign as a world champion makes him the longest serving world champion in the heavyweight division, which is mind-boggling. Okay, he also defended his title 23 times, which is only 2 less than the most amount of defenses, which is 25. Now, many people would say that Klitschko fought bums, but let's be honest, he fought who was available. He never fought the number one guy for a long period of time in his career, but that was because it was his own brother. A lot of people wanted to see the two brothers fight, but we were never going to see that. We were never, ever going to see that. And I don't think he really avoided anyone. He didn't. There was a few guys he didn't fight, like people like Holyfield, Valiev, Tua, a few other guys I can't think of at the moment. But there wasn't really anyone else, okay? Especially if you consider that his brother, who was also an active world title holder, was dispatching people. So he was taking away some of the potential opponents for him. And I think the only guy that they both fought was Samuel Peter. They both dispatched him. I think really the issue is that there was a lack of world-class competition, and there wasn't the level of competition that there is now, or the level of quality boxers that are beginning to come through. Now we're seeing guys that have made their debut maybe 4 years ago, and they're coming to the top. Joshua, Parker, these guys, they're getting there, but they weren't about, and they weren't available for Klitschko to fight. And you've got to appreciate that Klitschko developed a style where he was capable of wearing down his opponent, avoiding damage, and because he had such good power, he was able to dispatch his opponents and make it look easy. He actually has got a record of knocking out 53 of the 68 opponents. He's also taken a lot of O's. Okay, so he's been fighting guys that were seen to be, that were undefeated, that were on a great run up for that world title challenge, and he dispatched them. Samuel Peter, Ibragimov, Chagiev, Povetkin, Pulev, Jennings. He dispatched all these guys, whether you rate them or not. He dispatched them, he finished them, right? He also beat David Haye in what I believe was David Haye's prime. Forget about the injury. He dispatched him fairly comfortably, right? So let's not try to diminish Klitschko as opponent. He was a serious champion, right? He fought regularly. He defended. He fought pretty much everyone he could have. But the facts are, he was outsmarted by Tyson Fury on the night. Yeah? Tyson Fury came into the fight as a mandatory challenger to the titles, but he hadn't really beaten anyone himself of any great stature. Right? You could see his progress throughout his career. He was slowly progressing. And I think this is a feature of the Fury method. We're seeing it with Hughie Fury, where he's fighting guys that are not necessarily fashionable, but they're proving challenges for him. So they're developing a skill set, and they're trying to push him in a certain path. And then when he's ready, he will jump up for the more fashionable opponents. Okay. And you can, if you look at Tyson Fury's opponents from, just say, Chisora 1 right up to his fight before Klitschko, right, which was Christian Hamer, the difference in quality, for my opinion, is fairly limited, right? But he was, as I say, he was learning on the job. He was learning to deal with different types of opponents. And fighters go down different paths. And a good comparison to make is Derek Chisora, who he fought. Okay. Now, after the Derek Chisora one fight, he went on to fight people like Further, Rogan, Mandolin, Pajic. Not really fashionable guys, not people that you would say were ever going to be in any danger of fighting for in big fights, okay? Whereas Chisora, who lost, was pushed through Helenius, Vitali, Hay, Malik Scott. He really got some big fights, and yeah, he lost most of his fights. He put up a good fight. He obviously made a lot of money in those fights. It's just a different path that was taken, and some people say that Fury wasn't really deserving of getting this title, but he was the mandatory challenger. I think part of the reason why he was the mandatory challenger was that he'd obviously fought in these eliminator style fights that had been put together, but partly I think it's David Haye. Now, there's two aspects of this. David Haye was so inactive. If he hadn't been inactive, it's arguable that he would have been a world champion for a period of time. It's possible that he would have rematched against Klitschko. It's possible that he could have beaten him in the second time. He could have won one of the other titles. All kinds of things. We also had the problems with Haye challenging Fury twice, pulling out, and a lot of time was wasted, and this led to Fury fighting low-ranked guys, real low-ranked guys that weren't great, and they probably weren't in the plan that the Team Fury had. So really, no one gave Fury a chance, right? No one. The odd person, yeah, they might have said that I think Fury's going to win, but their general thought was Klitschko was going to stop him. Klitschko was going to be too good, too skillful, too defensive. But what happened was that Tyson Fury's movement was phenomenal. He didn't leave Klitschko a moment to settle or land shots. He didn't let him in close. He neutralized the trademark holding and grabbing. Okay? Now, whilst Tyson Fury's damage on Klitschko was very, very, very limited, right, and there wasn't a great deal of point-scoring shots, he completely neutralized Klitschko to almost inactivity. Okay? So, for Klitschko, it was the most disappointing fight of his career because he was just unable to do nothing. Yeah, that's right. This is the magnificence of the fight. Okay? This is how unbelievable Tyson Fury was, right? And no one came close to doing that in the whole of Klitschko's career. He'd lost, he'd been knocked out, but he'd never been completely neutralized by an opponent. Okay? Tyson Fury did that. He did that, right? He climbed Mount Everest, and it's as simple as that. One of the greatest sporting achievements. It was just that it was not pretty. It was boring. It was very close. Very, very close. A lot of people say it wasn't close. I thought it was close. But Tyson Fury's ability to neutralize Klitschko, that's the defining aspect of this fight. And that's a phenomenal achievement. A phenomenal achievement. Okay, so let's just move on to what's happened since. What's happened since that? And a lot's happened. A lot has happened since the fight. And this is where we really dig deep into Tyson Fury as the man and why the current position has arrived. Now, two things happened early on. Firstly, we had a number of comments that Tyson Fury had made were brought to light. Now, these were homophobic and sexist amongst other things, really. Okay, he refused to apologise for them, and when he spoke about them, and when he was questioned about them, he didn't apologise. He tried to justify them. Okay, he tried to justify them with religious beliefs. Okay. Now the problem here is that whatever you believe, we live in a society that is now very sensitive and has the ability to build a wave of support against something very, very quickly. And this is what happened, right? Now, I'm just going to make a kind of a comparison, and I'm not kind of condoning anything here, right? I'm just talking about how I'm just trying to explain how the wave of support can be built so quickly in the modern era, okay? So in the UK, last year, we had a British football player, soccer player, and he was charged with rape, right? Which is a very serious charge. He was found guilty, sentenced. He then appealed and he was released. And there's been a series of further appeals. And I think there's going to be a retrial, okay? But when he was released, he tried to restart his sporting career, okay? He spoke to many clubs. And he was also announced by a couple of them, right, as being a new signing, right? But the speed and the size of the online campaigns and petitions against him when announcements were made, right, made it impossible for the clubs to go through with any contract. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people signed petitions, right? And basically my point is that this is the modern culture. 15 years ago, I'd say, maybe, only 15 years ago, the same situation, he would have been released from prison, right? And I think he would have been able to get a club relatively quickly, particularly because he was a half-decent player. He was a striker, he was a goal scorer. I think people would have been interested in his abilities as a player, and they would have just put what he'd done or what he'd potentially done on the back burner, and they would have just probably quietly announced it, and fans and people might have thought, oh, this is annoying. It might have been spoken about in the printed press, but the ability to build a campaign and petition against him, the speed would have been a lot slower, and he probably would have been able to recommence that career. And as a sportsman, yeah, he would have probably got abuse from different arenas, grounds, every time he played, but he would have been able to get on it. In this case, he wasn't. The clubs were forced to retract the contracts, okay? So I just wanted to kind of just compare that, the way that social media and the internet has kind of stopped a lot of things from happening, okay? And that's kind of like the thing that's happened with Tyson, is that he says something, it goes viral, it's being shared on Twitter, Facebook, the videos are being shared, and everyone's seeing them. Everyone now has an opinion. Everyone is now venting that opinion. And the society we live in doesn't condone a lot of comments like that. And regardless of what your opinion is, what you believe, when you try and justify it with religion, in this day and age, that doesn't fit well with a lot of people, right? Using religion as a reason or excuse does not sit well anymore. It's not something that can be justified, okay? So, in my opinion, I think he should have just apologised straight away and moved on, but he didn't. He continues to just try and justify his comments. And ultimately, I think this was his downfall, right? And he was seen as being sexist and homophobic, and the media just pounced on it. And the campaign grew and grew and grew, and this is all we saw. Everything he was asked was about these things that he was saying. Everything he said became controversial, and every kind of justification that he made became controversial as well. And he couldn't win, and I could see that he found it difficult to kind of know what to say, because he obviously had a belief, and he was trying to justify it, and he felt that they weren't giving him an ability to justify it, really. And it even got to a point where in the UK we have this British BBC Sports Personality of the Year. It's got nothing to do with personality. It's just basically a TV show put on by the BBC every single year for, I think, about 40 or 50 years, where they honour British sport over the course of the last 12 months. And they have an award amongst a few others, where they basically basically say who they felt was the best sportsman of the year. And sometimes it can be for achievement, sometimes it's nothing. Some of them have been ridiculous, and some of them have just been given out in sentimentality. This year, it should have gone to Tyson Fury. When you talk about achievements, what he achieved was second to none. There wasn't anyone else on the list that was remotely close to the achievements, right? It was eventually won by tennis player Andy Murray, and fair enough. What he did was quite remarkable. He participated in an ongoing team competition and basically single-handedly won it. Okay, he won all of his matches. Everyone else in the team pretty much lost. He dragged them through the entire team competition, beating other countries. So it was a good achievement, but it wasn't in comparison to, say, winning Wimbledon like he did this year, the Olympics, other major competitions, right? So Tyson Fury should have won that. He didn't. And when he was brought on, they basically spoke to all of the 10 nominated sports people. And when they brought him on stage, Gary Lineker, ex-football player, very, very popular individual here in the UK, he made Tyson Fury feel very, very uncomfortable. And all he really wanted to speak about was the comments that he'd made. He kind of tried to make him apologise. It was uncomfortable. It didn't sit right. Okay. But anyway, that's that. The comments that he made, big part of this year, right? Now, the second thing that happened was that the IBF decided to strip him of his title. So he'd won these 3 titles, right? And they decided to strip him on the basis that he would not fight the mandatory challenger, which I think was Klitschko. This was so odd. Okay, so the IBF will be fully aware of the contract that was signed between Klitschko and Fury going into the first fight, knowing that if Tyson Fury won, that there would be an immediate rematch. But they basically came out and said, if you decide to go with that clause and fight Klitschko again, we're going to strip you of his belt. So straight away, he was stripped of that title. Within, I think, 6-7 weeks, the title was fought for. Charles Martin won it by default because Klitschko done something with his leg and he was injured after a few rounds, was unable to continue. So he won it by default. And then a couple of months later, he's defending it against Anthony Joshua, which he basically just walked into the ring and gave him the title. It was an embarrassment for the lad. Pointless. I suppose he earned himself a massive payday, right? And I think if you just imagine, right, you've done the unthinkable, right? You've won a title against all the odds, and you've decided to move forward and fight a pre-arranged rematch. Okay, you get stripped. That doesn't sit right. It wasn't right. We don't see many rematches. Now, a lot of fights warrant a rematch, and a lot of rematches would be brilliant to see. Boxing politics, we never see it. And there's many great fights, many close fights. Now, this wasn't a close fight, but it was a huge fight. And the rematch would be gigantic. Everyone would want to see it, just to see whether Fury could do it again. Right? It's a bit like Mayweather versus Pacquiao. Terrible fight. Terrible fight. And particularly, like from my point of view, the time that it was on in the UK, it started at 4 a.m. or something in the morning, and you're lagging big time watching that, and it turned out to be a terrible fight. But personally, I can't believe that there wasn't an immediate rematch. The money that could be made, it just makes sense. Sometimes these rematches, they make sense, but boxing politics just doesn't allow it to happen. Now, anyway, we jump forward to the summer. Right, and the rematch is postponed. Fury apparently gets an injury. Shortly after this, it's announced that he's been charged with taking banned substances. Right, in the past February. As far as I'm aware, the truth surrounding this hasn't come out. It hasn't been announced. Now, I'm sure that as soon as this allegation was brought to the public domain, a lot of people were like, oh yeah, well, obviously, yeah, Tyson Fury must have been on something. The shape he was in, how well he performed, there's no way he could have done that naturally. Which, yeah, it's a plausible argument. It's a plausible argument. Personally, I hope this isn't the truth. I hope this isn't the truth, because I detest performance-enhancing drugs in sport, full stop. I think it's pointless. Particularly in this day and age, the likelihood of getting caught is probably 90%, right? So achieving and winning something and then it being tarnished, it means that it's worth nothing. It's worth nothing. So what is the point? The small chance that you get away with it. I think that these days in high level sport now, I hope it's almost impossible to get away with performance enhancing drugs, right? So I hope this isn't true. But in the current world of boxing, you never know. We've seen Ortiz and others repeatedly get caught and then just let back into it again. Erkin Tepa, a few others I can't think of off the top of my brain. But anyway, right? We then hear that Tyson has admitted to taking cocaine on a regular basis, right, in the recent months. And this is followed up by an article in the Rolling Stone magazine, right? Now, this is an American magazine. It's not British. It's an American magazine. You don't really see it in British shops where they sell magazines. They might have the odd copy. It's not a very. I don't think it doesn't have massive circulation in the UK, right? But obviously these days the internet, whatever, right? And I can only assume that he jumped on the this American publication, journalist, and interview, because he didn't feel that the British public would report fairly. And the British public have got this kind of twisted mentality. Now, we've just seen here in the UK, in the English football manager has lost his job a month ago because he was set up. He was set up by one of the British newspapers. He was set up by the British newspapers, and if you forget about what he was saying in the recorded interviews or whatever it was about, you don't like what the thing. The fact is, he was set up. He was set up to fail, right? And that's the sort of thing that the British media do on quite a regular basis. So he obviously thought it wouldn't be truthful. It possibly wouldn't be interpreted fairly. He jumped with this American publication. Now, the article is a deep read. I mean, I find it really interesting, really. It covers a lot of ground, right? It's well worth reading. It can easily be found online. Just Google it. I'll try and put, if I remember, I'll put it in the links to wherever you find this recording. And he talks through a range of issues. It's got like two real themes, right? And the first of them is the persecution that he feels, right, that he's received from the British public since winning the titles. And this is due to his heritage as a traveller, okay? And he feels that it's clouded everyone's judgment, and it's also diminished his achievement in their eyes. And that can't be right, that because he has a travelling heritage, that people treat him in a specific way. Now, we know that certain minorities, races, people that different types of religions and whatever, they get treated differently by certain types of people, certain cultures, and whatever. People are intolerant of others. We know that this is kind of like the world that we live in, right? But at the nuts and bolts of it, we're talking about a British sportsman that the British public weren't able to get behind merely because of his heritage. And that's the opinion that he has, okay? And he goes on to kind of talk in this article about the abuse that he gets every single day, the tone that's derogatory to travellers. Now, social media, or the abuse that is received on social media, is nothing new, right? You put yourself out there publicly and you're famous, you're going to get abuse. Now, I'm not condoning that. I'm just stating what happens, right? Everyone's got a voice now, and they're quickly able to vent and say things. And they're able to say things directly to people, right? Because those famous people are putting themselves out there, freely available, and you're able to find them, right? Now, I know that the way that I have spoken about other boxers on this show in the past, when I've spoken about fights and previews, and I've discussed fighters' shape and passion and desire and inability and lack of talent, I've kind of put myself out there for criticism, and I'm sure if those guys ever listened to it, they would be like, "You're talking BS, mate. You're not being fair." But that's the opinion, okay? One of the things that I found pretty incredible is that he says that he was recently refused service in a restaurant, and they told him that they don't serve travellers. And he was like, "I'm the world heavyweight champion." And they were like, basically, tough luck, mate. Crazy, right? So the second theme is the use of cocaine, right? He says on numerous occasions that it's the only drug he's taken. But he's been using it since May of this year. He was in a training camp, wasn't going right. He broke down, told Peter Fury that that's it. He's not continuing with the training camp. He went back home and he just basically got on it. He was drinking heavily, taking cocaine to kind of escape. He kind of then goes on to basically say that he's stopped taking that cocaine and he's now seeking help. He explains that he's struggling mentally. He feels that it's because he was never celebrated in the way he should have done. Instead, the boxing world, the public, the media, they've kind of commenced on this witch hunt to take him down. The boxing world have stripped him of his titles. The media have humiliated him and highlighted his things that he's said for having strict religious views, and he's persecuted by the fans effectively on a daily basis. And this has affected his mental state, and he uses very, very strong language to discuss not wanting to live, his passion for boxing, and the regrets that he's made in his life. Now, I don't want to really go too heavy on this because I'm obviously not an expert, right? But mental illness is a serious thing. Some people don't think it exists. I believe that most people, this is actually my personal opinion, I think most people have some form of mental illness, whether it's very small or quite serious. It's just that some people can cope with these things better than others. And having depression is something that can be difficult for all concerned. The highs and lows can be quite dramatic. Now, just from what I see, I think in Tyson's instance, we've got a combination of mental illness and strong bloody mindedness, right? And this is combined to 10x his problem, right? This is a combination of strong beliefs and being very emotional, and that's led to him being a very volatile person, right? And he's clearly been unable to cope with the position he's found himself. And I think it's because he can't justify the fact that he has not received this attention, the respect, the love. He hasn't been put up on this massive pedestal because he's probably been looked up to in more ways than one all his life, okay? But if we go back, he's made mistakes and he's not been prepared to admit them when he was wrong. And this has been played out very, very publicly. And in doing so, he's alienated himself from the general public. And once you do that, it's incredibly difficult to sway them back, regardless of what you do. Okay? You just just have to think, Tyson Fury is a fun and loving guy, right? You just have to see how he won the titles, how emotional he was in the ring for his achievement, the song he sang for his wife, he's singing Aerosmith. It's a one-off, right? So let's just hope he gets the treatment, he moves forward, he gets some good PR, possibly new management, strong management that can help him and push him in the right direction, and we'll see like the real Fury kind of move forward. So let's just quickly just talk about like what's happened next, right? We've now heard that Tyson's relinquishing the titles. We've also heard it's possible that he could have a license taken away from the British board for cocaine usage. Would this be a bad thing? I'm not sure, but he does make a statement, and it looks like Tyson will be away for some time from professional boxing. I hope that he gets the help he needs and comes back strong. My main hope in all of this is these performance-enhancing drug allegations are false. I hope he won the titles fairly. It's a huge shame that he doesn't get to defend the titles and actually attempt to retire Klitschko. This appears to be Joshua's for the taking, which I'm sure he will be praised for. The British public will be loving that they retired Klitschko if he's able to do it. But this is the route that Fury's taken. Fortunately, he's young, and so is the competition. In a year or two, Joshua, Wilder, Parker, all these guys, they'll still be around. If he works hard, gets the right care, and then attempts a comeback in the correct manner, it could be huge for the world of boxing. But if he's found guilty, it's a blow. But in this day and age, it seems more and more commonplace, unfortunately, right? So later this year, we've got Joseph Parker versus Andy Ruiz Jr. Now, they're both highly ranked in the WBO, so it's possible they could fight for the vacant title. I hate vacant title fights. I hate them, right? And Fury also held the super version of the WBA title. Now, the WBA title is a farce. Luis Ortiz has been fighting and defending an interim title for, seems, years. Lucas Browne won and was stripped of the regular title. So it's anyone's guess what's going to happen with that kind of title. And then we've also got Anthony Joshua versus Klitschko in what I believe will be Wladimir Klitschko's last fight. And it's a defining fight. It's a great fight. It really is a great fight. I'm looking forward to that one, right? So just get to the end here. Tyson Fury, he's been through a lot this year. Some things unavoidable, some things his own doing. It's probably been quite tough, right? But even the best have a weak spot, right? And the best can be self-destructive. So Superman had kryptonite, Sherlock was a crackhead, Batman fought on emotion, and Wolverine was a total arsehole, right? So maybe Tyson Fury is a mixture of all of those guys, okay? Right? But because of the life that he lives, some things are never going to change. He's in control of a lot of these things, and he's able to change a lot. And what he changes will define him. And I believe that there's an alternative reality where a version of Tyson Fury is loved, he's respected, he's even celebrated. But this is a world where he actually uses his brain. Few boxers break out and are genuinely loved by the public. We know that. There's only a few. Probably can't think of that many. Many are well respected, right? But they usually keep quiet, and they earn that respect through amazing performances. But some balance getting that respect with playing the game. The likes of Manny and Mayweather is a prime example. Doesn't really care about being loved, but he wants the admiration, the celebration, being in the public eye, making the money, all that brings. We've also got David Haye, and he plays the game to maximise his exposure and then all that will bring. He says controversial things, he walks the fine line, but he never really goes over it. And this has been the difference with Tyson Fury. He's gone over it, not really realised this, or not really done anything to combat it. So we'll never know whether a funny, charming, and talented Fury could have become a national treasure, right? He is where he is. He needs to deal with that. But I believe that he can, and do you know what? I say good luck to him. Is Tyson Fury finished? My simple answer is no. This isn't the last we've seen of Tyson Fury. And this isn't... We will see him in a world title fight again. So thanks for staying with me for this show. I hope you've enjoyed the breakdown of Tyson Fury, the last 12 months. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button and leave me some comments. Anything I've said there, anything I've said controversial, hit me back. I want to communicate, get involved. As I say, Teekosey with just 15 defeats. 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 Just 15 defeats.